27 here, bringing Toriko chapter 259, Coco's Hypothesis. There is going to be a lot of information, so pay close attention because it's very important. So the first mystery being solved is, why did Coco's hair turn white? Well, it was because Coco used too much poison in his fight against Grinpatch. So for those of you guys who said that Coco used a lot of his poison, you are right. Apparently while using his poison, his gourmet cells were awakened temporarily. Now during his fight with Grinpatch, we learned that Grinpatch's immune system is incredibly strong. Why? Well, it's because his internal organs, his blood vessels, and his esophagus were like a filtration system. They were able to filter and detoxify every type of poison Coco used on him. Well, that, and it was because of his personality why his immune system is so strong. Not even his poison virus worked against him. Now, we actually get a couple of panels of what happened while Coco and Grinpatch were in that hole. But before we get to that, we learned what was Coco carrying inside that bag, and it was a rock. Why does he have this rock? Well, during the fight, when he was using the devil poison on him, okay, this looks really weird. I mean, you have Coco's gourmet spirit, I'm going to call him gourmet spirits now, forcing Grinpatch to open his mouth towards his face, and is oozing out this poison from his mouth into his. Moving on. Now, after Grinpatch ate that devil poison, he went berserk and started launching bazookas many times, digging the hole even deeper, thousands of meters into the ground, even deeper than Heavy Hole. Now, I'm not really sure what happened afterwards in that fight, but we all know that Grinpatch made it out of the hole okay. So I guess after that fight, he noticed these electromagnetic waves that he's never seen before, and they were filled with enormous amounts of energy. We see his intimidation spirit, and it actually talks to him in this like eerie ghost voice. I guess no surprise there because his intimidation spirit is kind of like a ghost. He said that the thing that he's seeing was good taste, a life force that is delicious. His intimidation spirit tells Coco that he cannot enter past there. It was also the wrong entrance, and he was also unqualified to enter. Wait a minute. Entrance? Unqualified? Life force that's good taste? Oh my god, the final land is inside the earth! I guess after that encounter, Coco managed to get out of the hole and bring a piece of that bedrock with him. Now this rock is very special because when Sunny touched it, his calories were being drained, meaning that the rock contained minerals that absorbs every kind of energy in the world, and it grows little by little, meaning that this rock is alive. Well, not like an actual organism, but it's getting close. Coco took this to a geologist to examine the rock, and apparently these rocks can be found anywhere if you dig deep enough, except one certain region, and that is the central human world. Now, with the central human world, apparently the crust has been made out of components that have not changed since several billion years ago. The rock that Coco found, however, has survived for several 100 million years ago, which means that the Earth in Toriko was originally the same size as the human world. And if that's the case, how did the Gourmet World came to be? How did the Earth in Toriko become incredibly big? Well, it turns out it was because of the Gourmet Cells which were discovered in the minerals of that rock. Yes, the rock contains Gourmet Cells. Now, in this chapter, even though this was a hypothesis created by Coco, we learn the true origins of the Gourmet Cells and how the current world of Toriko came to be. Several 100 million years ago, this mineral came flying from space and it landed inside the Earth. And it started to absorb the energy from the inside of the Earth and it started to grow. As time went on, it created a new mantle and a crust. It grew so big that it burst out from the inside of the Earth, and it continued to grow, surrounding the original planet, making it even bigger, but at least leaving part of the landmass from the original Earth. Now, when that happened, the Cambrian period came to be, where the organisms inside where the Gourmet World was originally created, this new mantle and crust, the organisms there evolved into the creatures you'd see to this day in Toriko. Now, it was said that Acacia discovered the Gourmet Cells in the deep sea. However, we didn't know like how deep he went inside the sea. I guess we're not going to go into space, but at least space was mentioned in this. Now, Coco says that the electromagnetic waves that he saw, its true source lies within the deep sea. Now, something that Coco's gourmet spirit said, life force is good taste. Since he sensed an incredibly strong life energy, it was probably that good taste that he sensed or something. Maybe that explains like what Joa meant by the whole good taste thing from the previous chapter. I'm not sure. It seems that wherever the electromagnetic waves that Coco saw, this source might be some sort of food field. A field of ingredients which the deliciousness of every kind of ingredient floods from. The source that supports all life on Earth. A food utopia. So yeah, just to be clear, deep inside the earth, probably close to the core of the earth, contains this massive field of delicious ingredients and food that supports all life on earth, which is a food utopia. The utopia that Neo is after. And now that I think about it, this might be the final land that Coco was mentioning. Now we know that Neo is after this. The question is, what are they going to do with this food utopia once they get deep inside the earth? We still do not know. Now, this food utopia might be the final land, and if that's the case, then this has the connection with Acacia's full course, since they say that the locations of the dishes in the full course leads to the entrance of the final land. Now, after we've learned all that information, we actually learned what is going on in the human world as of right now. Now, IGO has assembled many chefs and distributed the food supplies as much as they can. However, in some places of the human world, people that started to get into activities like looting and robbing because people are incredibly desperate to get some food since the supplies were low. The reason why that Coco called them here was because he needed their help to get to the first biotope to collect Ichiryuu's full course. It seems that Ichiryuu's full course will be able to help save the human race from starvation. Now, it seems that Toriko and Coco managed to gather all of Ichiryuu's dishes from his full course except for one, and this all happened off panel. We only saw them go after one of Ichiryuu's main dishes, and that was this bean. And apparently during the Meteor Garlic arc, when Toriko was inside the Gourmet Casino, he actually managed to find data on Ichiryuu's full course. Okay, that was actually two things that I probably didn't like about the chapter. The fact that they skipped Coco and Toriko gathering Ichiryuu's full course, and the fact that they skipped Toriko from gathering data of Ichiryuu's full course menu inside the Gourmet Casino. I really wish we could have seen that, but whatever. Anyway, it seems that in one of the dishes that in Ichiryuu's full course is an ingredient that can be eaten infinitely. An ingredient that you can eat for all eternity. That is something I'm incredibly having a hard time believing. I don't know. This is Toriko, so there are lots of stuff in Toriko that can be a bit hard to believe, but an ingredient that can be eaten infinitely, I'm actually having a hard time believing that. The last one, which was in the first biotope, is the main dish. And in order for that ingredient that can be eaten infinitely to be created, all of Ichiryuu's full course has to be assembled. However, they're going to need Toriko's sense of smell to help them with this. But Toriko, as of right now, is pretty much down in the dumps. Now, Zebra asks Coco why he sent Komatsu to Toriko if he knew that Toriko would lose. Yeah, Coco's fortune telling predicted that Toriko was going to lose to Starjuun. And anyway, the reason why he sent Komatsu to Toriko was to protect both Toriko and Komatsu. Well, yeah, Toriko's life is no longer in danger, that makes sense. However, Komatsu is with the Bishogakai, so I don't know if that's in a way protecting them. But I guess what he meant by saying is to protect their lives. Now we cut back to life with Toriko, who is still looking out in the distance, and we see Green hiding behind a tree, incredibly worried about Toriko. However, one person runs into Rin, and it turns out to be Knocking Master Jiro, who Rin calls him Knocking User. That is where the chapter ends. So yeah, that is Toriko chapter 259. What did I think? Well, this was quite the dialogue-heavy chapter. There is a lot of new information that we've learned. The true origin of the Gourmet Cells, how the Gourmet World was created, what happened to Coco when he was inside that hole, and we also know that where the final land might be, and what it is, and what is it that Neo is after. The question is, however, we don't know why Neo is after it. We still have to know what their intentions are with this new food utopia. Granted, I am finding it hard to believe that there is actually a field of the most delicious food inside the earth. But you know what? This is Toriko, so I might buy it, but I want to see it for myself, which we might get to eventually. Now, it doesn't seem that Neo is going to space, but they are going deep inside the earth. But at least we know that originally Gourmet Cells came from space. Although I'm not really sure if that means that the Gourmet Cells are aliens. They are extraterrestrial. We know that. So now that we know that the next upcoming arc is going to be gathering Ichiryuu's full course menu, which, by the way, all of it has been gathered except for one. And we didn't get to see Coco and Toriko gathering the rest of it, which I was disappointed in because I really wanted to see that. I actually did want to see more of what happened between Grinpatch and Coco and their fight, but at least we get to see portions of that in multiple panels. I will say that Shimabukuro did a really good job of showing this information and explaining it to the readers. This is definitely something that you don't have to read multiple times in order to understand. And also I did like the illustrations of how the current world of Toriko came to be. I did like that. We know that Toriko is now still depressed, but they're going to need his help to get the final main dish of Ichiryuu's full course. So it looks like the knocking Master Jiro might be able to knock some sense into him, no pun intended. It usually happens in many shonen series. Whenever the main protagonist is depressed down in the dumps because they either lost someone important to them or they lost in a fight, there's usually somebody that will give them advice or to cheer them up, and in this case it's going to be Naki Master Jiro. Now next week is most likely going to be him trying to cheer up Toriko and probably encourage him to keep his head up high and all that. So yeah, I thought the chapter was good, lots of dialogue, but we've learned some new information. We learned where the final land is, we learned what Neo is after, we learned the origins of the Gourmet Cells and the Gourmet World. And the best part is this information does not induce any headaches for readers. This is something that you can at least read once, think this through, and maybe read it again just to be sure, but then you'll be able to figure it out. This is not something you read multiple times over and over again, like that one chapter when Itachi tried to explain Sasuke about how Izanami worked. That chapter confused me. This chapter did not. So good job, Shimabukuro, for giving us this information. So yeah, that was Toriko chapter 259. What did you guys think of this week's chapter? Did you like it? Did you hate it? What do you think Naki Master Jiro is gonna say to Toriko to get him out of his funk? Let me know in the comments below, and be sure to like the video if you like it and subscribe for more videos. Also be sure to check out my Facebook fan page and Google+. So yeah, that is Toriko chapter 259. Lots of dialogue, lots of new information, but it was still good nonetheless. I'm Louis Brown 27, and I will see you guys later. Bye.